as in the day. Although sharks have excellent vision, their sight isn't the only sense they use when hunting. Rows of receptors located on the shark's head pick up the electrical impulses emitted by potential prey. They may also detect the Earth's magnetic field, which could help the sharks navigate. Most sharks' jaws are only loosely joined by muscle to their skulls. Although many of them spend their whole lives in the sea, some can survive on land as well. Ocean hunters come in all shapes and sizes, even among the predators we think we know well, like these sharks. They're not all super-fast killing machines. And they're not all the giants of popular imagination. This is a blue shark whose home is the open sea. There's no cover to hide it from its prey, so it has evolved a special kind of camouflage called countershading. The top side is much darker than the underside. This means they're camouflaged from every direction. Looking down from above, they blend in with the ocean depths or the seabed. Looking upwards, they blend into the light on the sea's surface. Many other animals that live are all countershaded from predators. Sharks have excellent, they sink, and many species can see 10 times better than humans, with light at the back of the eye that re-reflect light. The sight is needed in the dark and the day. Although sharks have excellent vision, their sight isn't the only sense they use when hunting. Rows of receptors located on the shark's head pick up the electrical impulses emitted by potential prey. They may also detect the Earth's magnetic field, which could help the sharks navigate. Most sharks' jaws are only loosely joined by muscle to their skulls, so they can dislocate them. This enables them to tackle large prey. Blue sharks' teeth are razor sharp, a very useful design for catching fast-moving prey. Some sharks can be ferocious killers. But this bloody-looking mass is not some eviscerated victim of a shark attack. It is, in fact, a swarm of tiny shrimp-like animals called krill. They're being corralled into a whirling ball by some pint-sized predators, anchovies. But before the anchovies have had a chance to start their feast, there are some uninvited guests. The anchovies' hard work herding the krill into a tight ball means the sharks can indulge in an easy meal of great mouthfuls of krill. Even when they're attacking very small prey, sharks are magnificent predators. As a water predator like sharks and their prey, other predators rely on hiding the depths or hunt under the cover of darkness. One of the ocean's most bizarre-looking killers is the Humboldt squid. They're specially adapted for hunting in the dark, with big eyes that detect movement rather than color. And the tiny movements of their prey bring them shooting up out of the depths. When they attack, they use sight and touch to check that what they've grabbed is edible. The 8 muscular arms are covered with suckers, each one ringed with teeth, and two longer tentacles also grasp the prey. In the middle of all this is a lethal beak, like an eagle's, which can tear chunks out of its victim. They're remarkably maneuverable in the water because they have a specially adapted wing-like fin. They also have a special funnel through which they expel jets of water, propelling them. They can move up to 20 miles or 32 kilometers an hour, and a good thrust can see them shoot out of the water. These squid are voracious predators. They're even known to attack divers. They spend their nights hunting, jetting up from the depths to pluck individual fish from a shoal. While hunting, they change color from pale to dark red in a succession of rapid flashes. Scientists speculate that this is for communication. Perhaps these alien-looking killers from the deep are more intelligent than we know. Coming up on Built for the Kill. See what happens when nature's underwater armored animals come under attack. And watch as an enormous killer storms this beach. The sea rises. In the middle of the Pacific lies a chain of islands. If you're an albatross, it's a good place to raise your chicks. Different seabirds are designed for different styles of flight. Some, like the puffin, have short wings for agile flight. Some, like gannets, fold their wings back for diving. While the albatross's huge wings are built for soaring. When the wind gets up, it's time for these young albatrosses to test their wings for the first time. Their parents have flown away, and for the young seabirds, it's the first big challenge. They must learn to fly before heading out for the open sea. Right now, the most important thing they have to do is try to stay out of the water to keep their wings dry. But when you're still learning, splashdowns are inevitable. If they do splash down, they have to try their best to get back to dry land for another go. Breeding in the same place every year has its downside. Predators learn that this season provides plenty of young sitting targets. sun, there's a scramble back to safety on the beach. Every year, the tiger sharks are fledgling albatrosses. But after a year, the sharks are a bit out of practice. And a soft-winged young and shuttered swatted, it's always a straightforward battle it might seem. Albatrosses have a way of fighting back. They peck at the shark's eyes with their sharp beaks. But the attacking shark has an effective defense. When it goes in for the attack, it has a nictitating membrane that covers the eye, which protects it even from a sharp, pointy beak. Tiger sharks aren't fussy about their diet. They've been known to eat anchors, bits of wood, and human beings. But sitting targets like the albatross are easy pickings. While the albatrosses are learning to fly, the sharks practice their attack technique, getting better and better at picking the youngsters off. Tiger sharks pick off 1 in 10 of these novice flyers, proving that when you're built for the kill, practice makes perfect. The ocean's huge expanse is home to some of the smallest life forms on Earth. This is plankton, made up of tiny animals and plants. But despite its small size, plankton is food for some of the biggest animals in the ocean. We normally think of a food chain as one animal being eaten by the next size up, but plankton are eaten by some of the biggest animals in the seas. The basking shark. The blue whale. The manta ray. These ocean animals are called filter feeders because of the way they harvest the tiny creatures which make up their diet. A basking shark feeds twice with stores wide open, or to observe gill rakers and such. These gill rakers trap the plankton on their long, mucus-covered bristles. Every hour, a basking shark filters enough water to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. The manta ray has a different way of ensuring that it can take the most food from the sea around it. It has flaps called cephalic lobes at the front of its head, which it uses to direct food into its mouth. Its gills open, allowing the water to flow out, while the plankton are strained down into the ray's stomach. Eating tiny food doesn't mean they're tiny themselves. Manta rays can grow up to 16 feet long, that's nearly 5 meters, and their wingspan can be up to 20 feet or 6 meters. The largest creature on Earth is the blue whale. Their mouths are specially adapted so that they can harvest the enormous numbers of tiny animals that they need to survive. Their huge throats are pleated so they can engulf vast amounts of food and water. They don't have teeth like sharks. Instead, a special sort of filter called baleen hangs down like fringed plates from their jaws. The baleen filters tiny krill, and it's believed a blue whale can eat that during the feces. Blue whale tree up bit for krill. Solids can have dramatic effects underwater. For some animals, a good way to get out of the way of the turbulence near shore is to get to deeper, calmer water. It's believed that storms at sea contribute to the start of the unique mass migration which spiny lobsters make. They migrate in huge numbers, walking in a single file formation. Here, these warmer winter waters help the female's eggs mature. But lobsters prefer rocks and crevices, and despite their armored shells, being out in the open sea has its dangers. So these lobsters have spines along part of their shell and antennae for added protection. Triggerfish may look harmless enough, or powerful, just crank up. A single lobster, lost and far away from any shelter, is an obvious target. The triggerfish begins the dismemberment, and other fish come in to take advantage of a breach in the lobster's defenses. Triggerfish aren't the lobster's own predator. Sea turtles also enjoy lobster. Its spines are no protection against this hunter. Sea turtles have a hard shell, like their cousins the tortoises. But unlike tortoises, they can't retract their heads for protection. They have evolved other adaptations to cope with ocean life. A powerful beak helps them eat shelled prey, and some have claws on their front flippers so they can hang on while mating in rough seas. They don't even need fresh water, as they can extract the salt from seawater and excrete it through their eyes. Their diet can be very varied, but often consists of hard-shelled creatures like lobsters and crabs, which make a tough but tasty treat. They don't spend all their time at sea. The females come ashore to lay their eggs. In the shallows lurks an old foe. It's another tiger shark, more than capable of biting through a turtle shell. The turtle heads for the shore, but to reach the beach, it must get past the shark. It takes a quick breath to prepare it for the home straight. The stage is set for a classic ocean battle. When the shark moves in, it's first blood to the turtle. Sharks are very vulnerable around their gills. Most fish have a covering over their gills, but sharks don't, and this is one of their weak spots. The young shark has picked an aggressive opponent. Beaten this time, the shark retreats. Leaving the turtle to reach safety and take a couple of victorious breaths. Speed and sharp teeth have been outdone by strategy and a powerful beak. Coming up next on Built for the Kill, the seabed itself provides a hiding place for an unusual shark. While there's no safety in numbers when you're up against one of the ocean's fastest hunters. Whales are some of the ocean's most awesome animals. Huge whales like humpbacks can't move fast, so they can't chase fast-moving prey like sharks can. So humpbacks have evolved an unusual way to bring their prey together, making them easier to catch. They hunt using air and water. This whale's not just breathing out. These bubbles serve a special purpose. One more way on the surface with fat free. Breaking the surface, with one lunge, the whale takes in a huge mouthful of fish. A whole school of humpbacks has come together to feast. But how? It's the bubbles that hold the answer. The hunt begins when the whales dive beneath a shoal, making a trumpeting call. They also make sweeping movements with their fins to startle the fish. They then begin to release a stream of bubbles as they circle below. A wall of bubbles encircles the fish and pushes them up towards the surface. This extraordinary hunting strategy is called bubble netting. As many as 24 humpback whales have been spotted feeding together. This remarkable behavior can allow giant killers to feast on small fry. And when they're done, they disappear back into the deep blue. Killer is not the first word that springs to mind when we think of Killer is not the first word that springs to mind when we think of dolphins. Their intelligence, elegance, and playfulness make them especially appealing creatures. But these dolphins are hunting. What are they hunting here, where the sea seems so empty? To hide from predators, some creatures can conceal themselves in the seabed, like these razorfish. But from these predators, there's no hiding place. Dolphins do see well underwater, but they can't rely on their sight when they're hunting in muddy or silty waters. So they have a special sense, which not only enables them to operate in murky conditions, but also to detect what's hidden under the sand. This sense is called echolocation. Dolphins send out pulses of sound that hit objects and are then reflected back. They interpret these echoes to build up a picture of their environment. Anything hiding under the sand sticks out like a sore thumb. Sometimes it's not worth investigating. But sometimes they'll hit the jackpot. you're dealing with dolphins, it's a life or death game. Predator's good at this game too. This is an angel shark, a master of disguise, and not nearly as angelic as its name suggests. Built more like a ray than a shark, it glides across the seabed, blending in perfectly with the sandy bottom. Its gills are set on its back, so this shark can bury itself in the sand and still be able to breathe. And it buries itself where there's a current, so water will naturally flow through its gills. It flicks the sand up, and when it settles, the angel shark seems to have vanished, but it's keeping an eye out. The shark's sixth sense, that detects electricity, lets it know when its victim is close. Another deadly game of hide and seek is over.